brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking host, the good old boys. And now it's sippin' time.
I have no idea what happened.
Why? It is sipping time.
Yeah, sipping time. Hello, and welcome to this Sips episode where everything good in life is worth discussing, and obviously we've been sipping already. As always, we are the best thing on at 2 a.m. This is a 1 hour show that's somewhat entertaining for nearly 20 minutes, and there's not one of you at this table that wouldn't give a kidney to always be entertaining for at least 20 minutes, if you know what I mean. We're looking at you, Harm.
It was an hour and 20 seconds of daylight savings.
Yeah, maybe 20 seconds.
Got my extra hour there.
Yeah.
Time change, clock change, baby.
20 seconds because you were going like,
It took him 18 to take his shoes off. We are still banned in 7 states. And after
shoes off?
After that last comment, we're likely banned in a lot more.
Roll Tide.
This is Made Man Bob. Joining me today, our Made Man Brent.
It's a pleasure to be here. It was exciting to have to use the skis to get up to the basement today.
Well, it's blisteringly cold here in sunny South Florida. Made Man Maury.
Good morning, Bob. I love the theme today. It gives new meaning to the words Rocky Mountain High in the basement.
Don't stop. Look, the guy who writes the special cards here in Florida shouldn't be talking about stuff like that. Good old boy Justin.
Good morning, Bob.
That's all he's got. And
So
good old boy
Already
Harmeet.
got my line.
He's so wordy.
And good old boy Harmeet. That being you.
How did you get the basement up on the slopes? I
Well,
love
it's tough.
it. Yeah.
It's my lair. It's like I'm
Your
a Bond
lair. This
villain.
is
I have
your
my
evil
basement
lair,
on the
yeah.
top of the mountain. That's where me and Blofeld live. So
I'm glad you put all these bottles on snow.
well, we try.
Nice.
Maury, Brent, and myself are with the Bourbon Mafia.
On weed.
The Bourbon Mafia is a nonprofit organization composed of bourbon enthusiasts and industry professionals. With representation in 8 states, our members combine a love of bourbon with a passion for charitable work. The group uses their love of our native spirit to raise money for local and national charities through rare bottle auctions and other themed events. Check us out on Facebook at The Bourbon Mafia.
This episode of Sips, Suds, and Smokes is brought to you by the Black Tux, premium rental suits and tuxedos delivered. Get our listener special offer by visiting theblacktux.com/sips. That's theblacktux.com/sips.
Our show is also sponsored in part by Fine Spirits, Cooper City, Florida, home of the Enigmatic Machine, serving great wines, whiskeys, and other spirits by the glass. You can find them at www.finespirits.net or where else?
www.facebook.com/finespirits.
Okay, then.
Also, we have the largest whiskey selection in the state of Florida, by the way. Just in case you're wondering.
He has problems with size differentiation. He says there are other things that are the largest in the state
Let me
of
tell you
Florida.
something.
And we all know that ain't true.
He's making up for
If
something.
you measure from the length of the display of the shelf, no, not really. We have over 500 whiskeys, man. Ain't nobody got 500 whiskeys in
He
Florida.
also married a woman with freakishly small hands. Let's just say he has size issues.
And freakishly
How many
large
whiskeys do they have at that
breastises.
new place you
Freakishly
visited?
large breastises.
5-star.
Our sip
We've already
segments-
gone off the rails. I'm sorry.
Our sip segments are all about wine, distilled spirits, tea, and coffee. And today's show is a distiller's takeover with whiskeys from Distillery 291 out of Colorado. So, and here's the whiskeys. I know, all of you want to puke. I know, that's John Denver. Remember that old joke? I went to go buy a cassette tape, and the blank tape was $2, and the John Denver tape and the bin was $1. Yeah. All right.
Just record over it.
All right, here's the whiskeys we're going to be tasting today. The 291 Barrel Proof Colorado Whiskey, the 291 Barrel Proof Colorado Bourbon Whiskey, 291 Bad Guy Colorado Bourbon Whiskey, and then we have the E Colorado Whiskey Batch Number 1, the E Colorado Whiskey Batch Number 2, and the E Colorado Whiskey Batch Number 3. Look at that. Like all in a row. All right, so we're going to have Harm tell us all about our SIPS ratings if we can get him off his phone.
I'm not on my phone, man. I'm telling you, this is a computer. It's a handheld computer that I carry with me.
Yeah, so you
And
can,
it's like a tricorder.
yeah, you download
It's
Czechoslovakian
a
porn on it.
tricorder.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, Spock.
All right, whatever. So, we give our whiskeys our signature sips ratings to designate how we feel about them. And as a man who's been visiting Colorado lately, and been partaking of their whiskeys and other what do you call that stuff? Whatever. We got like that sips ratings. 1 sip. Give me a glass of water, man. I need to wash out my mouth.
That is like the worst Spicoli I've ever heard in my life.
Yep.
I don't know what this Spicoli is. 2 sips.
Let me see your passport. I don't think you live in Colorado.
Nice. What else you got?
Well, isn't that nice?
And 3 sips. Interesting. Look at my hand. What was that again?
Interesting.
Look at my hand. Look at my hand.
My hands, man. They're so cool. They're mirror images. My hands are enantiomers.
This is like the worst Cheech and Chong. Oh, my God. Tommy Chong's sitting there banging his head against the desk right now.
Well, after 3 comes 4 sips. Let's keep this one a secret to ourselves. He jumped the gun on him.
Yeah, I'm getting tired of this. Let's keep moving.
Let's keep this a secret to ourselves.
And there's 5. And we're moving on. Okay, Brent, take it away. All right, Brent, tell us a little bit about Distillery 291.
Oh, I'm happy to get off the hand subject.
Yeah, good Lord.
Okay, Distillery 291 is located in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and established by Michael Myers, who was a former.
Where's your music for that, Bob?
What music? I don't hear any music.
Still creeped out.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, that's not in my head?
No, not anymore.
You mean I'm not just being paranoid?
Yeah. But
I hear that every time I get in the car and drive.
Michael Myers was a former fashion photographer in New York City, and when the events on 9/11 unfolded, Mr. Myers found that his home, which was located only 3 blocks from Ground Zero, was uninhabitable, and so he moved his family to Colorado Springs to be near relatives. After several years of commuting back and forth from his home there in New York, he decided to look for a new career that could keep him closer to home. It was at this time he became interested in distilling as a possible career, and after a lot of study on the subject, he opened his distillery and distilled his first batch of whiskey on 9/11/2011.
Which meant he probably went and drank a lot of whiskey.
Yeah, so
I feel like this man might be a little bit scarred.
There's
issues here.
But they began distilling using an IPA beer wash produced by Bristol Brewing Company, and unhappy with the results, came up with the idea to boil off the alcohol from a batch and then mash up a portion of the remaining spillage into the next batch of distiller's beer to add a consistency to the whiskey. The new make...
Would that be the sour mash process?
That's a sour mash.
Yeah.
Well, no, sour mash is when you take a batch after you've done it and run the whiskey and then run back in. They're just boiling it down.
Yeah.
They're not distilling it.
That noise you hear in the background is Michael Myers entering the building.
Yeah. The new make spirit is aged in 10-gallon charred oak barrels, so it's a smaller barrel than what we're used to normally, but it's aged for approximately 1 year.
Smaller than my gas tank.
Well, a lot of the new distilleries do it in small barrels.
Yeah. It's
Balcones,
right.
Or they had a building with 10,000 10 and 15-gallon barrels.
Yeah, but it's not for the traditional your main distilleries of what they're using, but it's aged for approximately 1 year, and then the barrel is opened and toasted with aspen staves are inserted for several weeks. So they take.
Wait a minute! It's opened and toasted with No,
it's
opened and toasted aspen staves.
And it's opened and then toasted aspen staves are inserted for several weeks to give it to add on a little flavor, and then the barrel is left open to allow oxygen into the barrel before the whiskey is bottled.
There you go. All right. Well,
Close to that.
Thanks, Brent. We appreciate that.
yeah, put this script in really big print from now on.
We were.
And that script's across the room.
We should just stop, partaking in Colorado stuff.
All right. We're going to have Justin tell us about the first whiskey.
So this one is 291 barrel proof Colorado whiskey. It's 67.3% alcohol by volume. This is a rye whiskey made from a mash of 61% malted rye and 39% corn. Aged for less than 2 years in a new charred 10-gallon American white oak barrel and finished with toasted aspen staves.
That's what I tried to say.
Yeah,
And-
sure you tried. Yeah.
He read it better than you did.
Now, when I first tried this whiskey right out of the bottle, it was awful. But I let it breathe, and it got a lot better. So I'm just going to give you the notes from when it got a lot better. It definitely had the high malt content in there, and you could definitely tell that it was a low corn whiskey. And I gave it 2 sips. Every color of all these Colorado whiskeys are this dark brown, and they're very uniform. I don't know how they did that, but for young whiskey, it's not
Well,
horrible.
isn't that nice?
Maury, what did you think?
Good old boy Bob just found the button. Tapped it
Trying
2
to figure
sips.
out what you guys are up to, I swear.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me say
Maury,
this.
what do you got?
I love the color. It's a beautiful
You weren't
mahogany
even
color.
born with the sense God gave the common dog.
Thank you.
Where did you get that one?
It's got a
The
spectacular
two of you can
nose.
figure out which one that was aimed at. I don't really care.
It's got a spectacular nose. I really like the nose on this whiskey. And I could...
Talk about it later.
I could smoke it
Tell
all
me
day.
later.
Hey, listeners, we do a lot of events here at Sip Suds and Smokes. Between charity auctions, tasting events, and well-to-do dinners, we sometimes even have to dress up. For more than a year now, I've been wearing the black tux to all my events, personal and professional. The black tux never gets old to me because they always have new and exciting styles for my next big event. From the classics to stylist-selected outfits, the black tux has easy, pre-coordinated ensembles appropriate for any event. You could even build a custom look for those one-of-a-kind weddings with color pairings you'll never wear again. You know the ones I'm talking about. The best part? It's super easy. No awkward self-measurement or even more awkward asking someone else to. They've got a fit algorithm that handles it for you, and free home try-on makes sure it's all perfect, even months before your event. No last-minute arrival worries either. Your suit arrives 14 days before your event, and you've got 3 days to return. Shipping is free both ways. Make sure you stand out at your next event for the right reasons with the Black Tux. Our listeners get $20 off their purchase by visiting theblacktux.com/sips. That's theblacktux.com/sips for $20 off your purchase. The Black Tux, premium rental suits and tuxedos delivered.
All right, and we are back, and we're talking about whiskey from Distillery 291 out of Colorado. So Maury was starting to tell us what he thought when we went into commercial break. So,
Thank you, Bob. I was saying how much I love the nose. I think the nose has lots and lots of promise. It's just delicious and delightful. I love the color. On the palate, I felt to be spicy, a little bit on the young side, well put together, well made. I love the fact that it's bottled to barrel proof. Again, 67.3% ABV. Fantastic first offering. I think it's very well made. I give it solid 2 sips.
all right.
Well, isn't that nice?
Yes.
What do you think, Mr.
Yeah.
Mr. Brent?
Yeah, that's the one thing about this is the nose is more promising than the actual flavor, and that's what, and I think that's what Maury was getting at a
I
little
like
bit.
strawberries. You ever know strawberries? They seem awesome, and half the time you eat them, and they're not all that great. They
Yes.
smell
Yeah.
better than they taste.
Yeah, well, I mean, this has a great sweetness to it. There's on the nose, a cherry, pomegranate, and everything. But then the flavor falls just a little bit flat. It just leaves you wanting more. And I think that comes from the 10-gallon barrels. I think if they would have used the regular size barrels and let it age a little bit longer, that it would smooth out a little bit more. But I see the promise in this. I enjoy it, but I'm just going to give this a 2 sips.
I want to add
Well, isn't that nice?
something to this. There was a little sticker on the bottle.
No.
No, what?
No, you can't add it. You didn't ask. Say it.
Sir, may I add something?
No, say it. Mother, may I?
Mother, may I?
Okay.
Okay. This bottle was entered at the Breckenridge Craft Spirits Festival, and it did win the People's Choice Award in 2014, 15, and 2016.
But they're in Colorado, and, so who else was in the Breckenridge?
It was
Colorado
the best of
thing?
Colorado.
Okay. So it was Breckenridge and them.
Right.
Okay. It's like the best Cabernet Sauvignon out of Florida. Okay, awesome.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, the finest champagne from Lower Alabama. Okay.
You are a cynical bastard.
Yes, I am. So what do you
Look
have to say,
who's
Mr.
bitter today.
Mr. Bitter?
No, I'm going last. You guys do it.
You should.
It's because I'm brown. I'm in the back of the show.
Back of the bus.
No, it's just because you're a doink. But
A doink, yeah.
All right.
I thought it was the vodka shirt.
I'm wearing a vodka shirt today. There you go.
Shame on you.
No, I definitely agree with the guys. The nose on it is definitely much better than the palate.
Isn't it so promising? The nose.
I mean, the nose on it is absolutely lovely.
Oh my gosh! It's like,
and it's not. When you taste it, it's not like you taste it and it just that it's like doesn't. It's not there. You don't get the flavors of what you're smelling.
Right.
Or maybe you do, but it's just so muted. It's the palate is definitely not living up to the promise of the nose.
Yeah.
And I don't know if a bigger barrel is going to fix that. I don't know if more time in the small barrel is going to fix. I don't know, but if they can, I'll tell you right now, if they can even come close to matching the palate with the nose, man, they got a winner.
Oh my gosh, that's just it. You're nosing it, and it's just like I can't wait to get into this, and then you're like, oh.
I think that's time and maturity in the barrel.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that believe that a smaller barrel can mature faster, and although it does get ready faster, it's not the same as more time in a larger barrel. It's just not.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I give it a solid 2. All right, Mr. Happy,
Well, isn't
you're up.
that nice?
Well, let me say, I kind of like what these guys are doing. It's different. It's the 10-gallon American Oak White barrels are I don't know that that's something they want to continue using, but I see why they're doing it. I understand it, and exactly as Brent said, the nose was promising. So let me address this first thing. So color, it's dark.
It's all about color with
It's
you,
dark.
isn't it?
It's
You
about
racist
color.
son
It's
of a-
dark. It's dark. It's dark. It's dark. It's dark. It's like Maury's heart.
Oh, that's the wrong show. I don't have the Bane clip.
good.
Sorry.
It's dark like Maury's heart. Everybody knows Maury. He's good. The nose, sweet, fruity pomegranate, just like Justin's breath. Stunning. Stunning nose.
Thank you very much.
The palate.
I'm suddenly uncomfortable.
The palate is slightly hot, like me. And then
I guess that
finish.
makes our naughty parts tingle.
The finish. The finish was complex. This is us. But I can only give it 2 sips. Seriously?
Well, isn't that nice?
Not a single chuckle?
It was like
I worked for that.
It was like
Well, I
waiting for
guess that makes our naughty parts tingle.
waiting for the climax.
Yeah. That's what she said.
Disappointed once again, just like
Okay,
my wife.
Bob, tell us about the next one.
All right. The next one we've got is the 291 barrel proof Colorado bourbon whiskey. It's 67.3 ABV. This comes from barrel number 149. This is their standard single barrel bourbon. It's made from a mash of 80% corn, 19% malted rye, 1% malted barley. It's aged for less than 2 years in a new charred 10-gallon American white oak barrel, finished with toasted aspen staves. This expression actually won double gold at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition. So let's give this one a little try.
And that's not exactly a local backyard competition.
No, that's a
respectable
big competition.
And again, this one, the nose on it, I find really, really nice. I mean, the nose on it, I'm getting some ripe tropical fruit in that. I'm getting some rose petal. It's definitely, the nose is lovely, but let's try the palate. This has definitely got a little bit more flavor to it than the first one. But again, I think the nose is I think the nose is there and the palate is playing catch up. It's a little bit astringent. Yeah, I'm getting just a little bit more tannin than I would, And again, I think that's a result of the 10-gallon barrels. It's a surface to mass ratio.
Volume. Surface to volume.
Yeah, you're pulling out
surface area.
You're pulling out way too much of the tannin.
I've been drinking.
But well made. I think if they put this in at least a 30-gallon barrel, even still, that I think that would probably help. 53-gallon barrel, I'd love to see where this thing's going to go.
A 53-gallon barrel, you need like 3 years, 4 years, right?
Oh yeah, at least. That's what I'm saying. If they put it into 30, that might be a happy medium. They might be able to get it out, a little bit quicker, but catch a little bit less of the small barrel,
Funk.
issues. Overall, it's got a nice color to it. But again, it's coming out of a 10-gallon barrel, so it's really extracting a lot out of the barrel and out of the charcoal and that. So you're going to get a dark color pretty quick out of that.
Maury's heart.
He has no heart. There's just that black void in his chest.
Harmeet skin.
It's not that dark.
Yeah, I'll give it. I give this.
Whiskey's darker than me.
I give this a
Wow,
solid 2.
isn't that nice?
All right.
Yeah, I've never. It would be nice to visit this distillery because you'd like to see what their plans are for the future if they are using some of these bigger barrels or how they're doing it. But that's what I would. That's what I'd like to see in the future. But I have to agree with pretty much everything you said there. The nose is so promising. Gosh, when you get this nose, you just get this sweetness and this, and then you're just kind of left like after you taste it, you're just kind of left like, where did all that flavor from the nose go? But yeah, I'm going to give it a solid 2 sips.
All right.
Well, isn't that nice?
What'd you think?
I agree with Brent.
You?
As I
That's
said,
good old boy Maury.
Would you sure?
People, there's no video here. You gotta talk.
the nose is lovely.
Man.
The nose is really nice. I love the fact that they're bottling at barrel proof. We love the high proof. Can't argue with 127.4%. 127.4 proof.
We love that high proof.
Yes, we do.
But I agree. It's young. It needs some maturity.
Thank you very much.
I'm not sure it's not suffering a little bit from the small barrel phenomenon, and I'd love to see it with a little more time on it. Again, very nicely made.
I think
Excellent
they've
effort.
got great.
I think they've got great
mash, right? They're
yeah,
doing a
they've
good
got a
job.
great
Yeah.
mash.
Oh yeah, the nose it proves they got a good.
They got
mash
fabulous packaging. I
Yeah.
got to say, the packaging is fantastic, and I love that everything's kind of hand labeled. This is bottle 48 of 48, so they're getting 48 bottles out of this 10-gallon barrel. Again, double gold at San Francisco is nothing to sneeze at. It's a well-made whiskey. I give it solid 2 sips, bordering on 3.
Yeah, that was me. It was
Well, isn't that
sort of in the
nice?
middle. What do you think, Jason?
It definitely smells great. It does suffer from small barrel syndrome. It's got decent heat to
Is
it.
that like small male part syndrome?
It's exactly like that.
I've never heard of that. What's that all about?
That's
Don't
why
worry,
you like
Napoleon. We'll get to you.
That's why you married somebody with small hand syndrome.
Yeah. I have a mirror above the bed that says objects are actually
You know,
larger than
we
they
are
appear.
not going to be having this show on NPR anymore. This time of year.
And I would love to have the white dog.
We're
of this.
moving from PG to R-rated.
Yeah.
And if I just drank the white dog, I think I'd be really happy. What did you think, Harm?
Well, kids, I gotta agree with you. The nose was stunning. It was all about brown sugar and burnt vanilla and cherry, just like Brent's breath. It was Brent's breath.
That's when I breathe into your ear.
I know. And the palate was hot, just like Brent's breath in my ear.
Do you want to touch my monkey?
You guys are
Only when I'm breathing in your, only when I'm breathing in your ear.
The palate, it was a little hot, but I added some water. It was still peppery. The palate was, it just fell down. It wasn't there, and almost want to give it three sips, but I think I still have to bring it down to 2.
Yes, that was me. I was
Well,
Right.
isn't that
almost there.
nice?
Yeah.
Yep. It's
Well, that's nice, but what else you got?
What else you got? All right, well, on to our next one. Maury, why don't you tell us about it?
Thank you, Bob. The next product is the 291 Bad Guy Colorado Bourbon Whiskey.
Great name.
Coming in at 59.7% ABV. And for you lawyers in the room, get out your calculator and you can calculate the proof. This expression is a 4-grain whiskey with a mash bill of 59% corn, 29% malted wheat, 9% malted rye, and 3% beechwood smoked barley.
I've never had that before. Anybody else had that?
Never.
Nope, never.
Never. So I love what they're doing, that they've got these malted wheat is unusual. Malting the rye is unusual. This is a smoked barley. Really interesting mash bill. The recipe came about as part of an experiment to improve on their unaged white dog. After distilling, they felt it wasn't an improvement over their current product, but instead of throwing it out, they poured it into a barrel to age and see what they had. This expression received a rating of 96 in the 2018 edition of Jim Murray's Whiskey Bible.
That's freaking impressive.
Yeah, again, very impressive. So we're not talking about local backyard competitions. We're talking about San Francisco World Spirits Competition, now Jim Murray, respectable sources. Again, I love the nose on this.
Northern Harvest Rye.
Stop it. The man fell down one time. Jeez.
Again, love the nose. Lots going on in the nose. Classic bourbon style. I love the packaging. I love the labeling. The old world style corks are really beautiful. The glass bottles are thick and heavy and really, really pretty. Again, the color is beautiful, deep mahogany. It's got a really nice mouthfeel to this one. This was really my favorite of all the things we've tried today. I really thought it had caramel, it had toffee notes, it had a lot of things that you'd expect in a classic bourbon. It does have the aspen stave finish, where they're putting in these aspen toasted staves in the barrel at the end. This particular one was aged 525 days in the American oak barrel. It's a really nice whiskey. I think it's very well made. I'd love to see it with a few more years of age. Perhaps, again, as Bob said, in a 30-gallon barrel with an extra couple of years on it. Again, love where it's going. Would love to visit both the place and revisit this whiskey in a couple of years. Gave it a solid 3 sips, bordering on 4.
All right.
Interesting.
Who wants to go next?
I'll take this.
Right.
I agree. This one you can tell right off the bat that it was aged longer. You know, I mean, it was clearly showed that it was aged longer and that they did something different to it. And obviously, all the different expressions.
Yeah,
that
the mash bill
Beechwood-
is crazy different.
Yeah, the mash bill is completely different than anything we've ever had before. And you know, but you know, I have to agree everything what you said about it. But I think the longer this ages, I think if they do this again, maybe in a larger barrel, maybe a little bit longer, it'll even improve more than that, more than where it is right now. And I can see that transgressing in the future. But yeah, right now I enjoy it. It's a 3 sips.
Yeah.
I don't really get much smoke on it. Interesting that they used a smoked barley. It's only 3% of the
I had a
mash.
very slight smoke.
It's beechwood smoked. It's not peat smoked.
Yeah, so it's
So
But the point is, you're not really getting anything smoky.
No, it's not. No, not like.
here's the thing:
Whatever.
it's beechwood smoke, and it's 3% of the mash bill.
yeah,
Exactly.
so it's very, very small.
So yeah, you're not going to pick up a lot. I mean, I can definitely tell it's there, but
It's subtle.
yeah.
If you didn't know it was there, you'd have a hard time finding it.
Yeah,
That's
I'll
what
give
she
you that.
said.
The malted barley really
That's what
comes
your wife
out
says
more
all the
than-
time.
PG-13
Malted
boy.
wheat, rather, comes out a lot more than the beechwood.
So Justin,
Yeah.
did you give
Agree.
a review of this one yet or no?
No.
No,
He's
not
doing
yet.
it right
We're
now.
waiting on him.
He's doing it right now.
Was that
So-
his thing?
Who remembers what beer was beechwood aged?
Budweiser.
That's right. So I couldn't detect any similarity between the beechwood aging of the Budweiser and this expression. But
I just want to smack you right now.
Where is he going with this?
But the malted wheat really came out.
Have you heard of
You weren't even
censorship?
born with the sense God gave the common dog.
What movie is that from?
I think the malt
Dragnet.
really helped this.
No way.
And I gave it 3 sips.
You know, I tried
sips?
this, and Budweiser's got bubbles in it, and this doesn't have bubbles. So, hell, I don't know.
Yeah. It's not yellow like my bud, before or after.
If yours is yellow, as brown as you are, I think I'd get that checked out.
The Budweiser.
Oh, the Budweiser.
Harmeet, what do you
said
say about
Bud,
this?
Not,
What do you say about this one?
What I got to say about this, Brent, is it smells like Bob's breath. It's
you have a lot of this breathing
breath?
on you. Is all I can tell you.
all I'm saying is
between
you guys are
myself
awfully
and
friendly
Bob.
after the show's over.
You want to touch my monkey?
It exactly as Maury said. This had more bourbon
Well, I
character,
guess
right?
that makes our naughty parts tingle.
Well, if you pour it on your naughty parts, they will tingle.
Well, it is high proof. Yeah,
It is
that's
high
right.
proof.
It's a high ABV.
Obviously, Harm prepared for the show.
I did. I'm just saying, Maury said it had hit it right on the head with the bourbon notes. There's more bourbon notes here, and then but what struck me he didn't mention was tropical fruit, and that's where I got Bob's breath. A lot of tropical fruit in here.
I do live in South Florida.
Little pineapple. I got some
Like a
candied
chimp,
pineapple.
I live on mangoes and bananas and carambola fruit. Yeah.
I call them, why nobody calls them star fruit anymore? What's with the carambola? We're all fancy. It's carambola. It's star fruit, man.
It was always a carambola
It was
fruit.
a star fruit. Whatever.
Heathen
It was
city
very
boy.
tropical, brown sugar, and there was a slight hint of smoke, like Bob had just had a cigarette about an hour ago.
You smoked a banana.
Wait. You and Bob were doing the naughty, and now he had a
Reminds me of my
cigarette.
high school
Is that what
guidance
I'm hearing?
counselor. She said I'd never amount to anything
But
and
the
said I was
cigarette
crazy,
smell was
but
on
she
his
was
breath
smoking
before,
a banana. So
was he with you before, Maury?
No, definitely not.
Harm must be recounting boarding school.
It
All
memories.
right, what's your rating?
I gave it 3 sips. It was all right. I liked it.
Bob, did you rate it?
Interesting.
I thought it was so far it's the best one we've had. I thought it was
That's
very
what I
well
said.
put together.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd give it a 96 like Jim Murray, but I absolutely agree. It's very well made. But this one, I like this one. And
you could drink.
And he's
water in
right.
it.
I will give him his props on this. I definitely pick up a lot of tropical fruit, and I can taste the barley. So 3 sips.
There you go.
Interesting.
New to Podcast One, Office Hours with Spencer Raskoff.
Hi, I'm Spencer Raskoff, the CEO of Zillow Group. Listen as I have one-on-one conversations with other CEOs. We have the kind of conversations that can only happen between peers, tackling tough questions, sharing hard-won insights, and helping to define what leadership means today.
You can find his show and other great business-related shows like Forbes Interview and Forbes Under 30 exclusively on Apple Podcasts, PodcastOne.com, and the new Podcast One app.
Hey, and we're back, and we are tasting whiskey from Distillery 291 out of Colorado. So
Yeah, man.
we
It's
are.
good
No, it's
stuff.
Distillery out of Colorado.
Oh,
It's
sorry.
not
Yeah.
the other thing.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's just nice.
Not
Put
dispensary.
that card back in your wallet. It's not dispensary. It's distillery.
Distillery, right. Well, you don't need a dispensary anymore in Colorado.
It's interesting how you know that.
I've actually had employees leave me to move to Colorado. Literally.
I wonder
Trust
why
me,
they're leaving you.
They were leaving for plenty of other reasons
yeah,
other than that. Yeah. All right, so we're up to our next whiskey, so we're going to have Justin tell us about that one.
Our next product is the 291 East
E.
Colorado
Not East.
whiskey.
E is for experimental, not East.
He's-
Now, go ahead.
Justin's reading like
Hold
it's a
on,
street in
wait,
Fort Lauderdale.
Hold on, wait. Okay, hold on.
You weren't even born with the sense God gave the common dog.
Okay, go ahead.
Batch 1.
We have to just say that for the best of
62.9%
show.
alcohol by volume. This is a one-off experimental release using their standard rye recipe of 61% malted rye and 39% corn. Half the grain was cooked up with the temperature being increased during mashing. The other half was cooked down with descending temperatures during mashing. Aged for 405 days in new charred 10-gallon American white oak barrels and finished with toasted aspen staves.
So they're
What's an
experimenting
aspen
to be with
stave?
the mash, not so much with the.
A strip
they're
of
stuck with that
aspen
10
wood.
gallon
Yeah, they're stuck with it. They're not experimenting with the gallons of the size
barrel
of the barrel.
size or the aspen finish. They're playing with the mash bills, and this is very interesting how they're changing how the grains are cooked while they're doing the mashing. It's
Yeah,
kinda cool.
I will give them credit on that one. I've never heard of anybody, build.
Change it.
I mean, you build it up to a temperature and then you hold it generally. But I've never heard anybody building it up, or they're doing the reverse.
Well, you're
getting it up
affecting
and
the
bringing it
yeast.
back down. Yeah,
You're affecting just like when
you're not affecting
winemakers
yeast.
will do that.
No. This is only during the mash.
That's
It's
during the
not during
mash. They don't pitch the
fermentation.
yeast till after
But
that.
that's fermentation.
No. This is mashing.
This is the cook.
The yeast is during fermentation.
Yeah.
And the cook made it nice and balanced. Originally, the nose on it was awful, but I actually took the Glencairn at Bob's advice, shook it violently.
You put your hand over the
put
glass
my hand
before you
over
shake-
the glass
before you
before I
shake it.
shook
Otherwise, it's going to be
It'll
covered
be all over the cave. And then it was pretty good after that.
It just needs air.
It needed air. I gave it. I got tropical fruit on this one as well, and it has a nice long finish. I gave it 3 sips.
All right. Now, see, this is the one that he was having the nose, and he was like, I can't. The nose is. You see, told you. You laugh at me when I shake it.
You fixed it.
All right, Maury, what do you think?
No, wait. Let me jump in here because I
Go ahead, Harmeet.
because of this, because of exactly what you told Justin to do, I want to follow up. Sorry, I was just like Justin. I thought it was just really unpleasant. I was ready to give it 1 sip till I did what Justin did, would shake it up when you told us about that, and the tropical fruit came out.
Yep.
So, and I will agree with him now. I give it 2 sips easily.
You'll do what Justin did, and who told Justin?
Well, isn't that
Well, we
nice?
can't give you credit, Bob, because you don't have the sense God gave a common. Was it dog? Yeah. Well, they all knew that.
Do you want to touch my monkey?
Yeah. All right, Maury, what did you think?
Well, I'm going to echo some of the things that Harmeet has said. I didn't say agree.
I didn't say anything. I
echo.
just said what Justin said.
It had a really unusually funky nose.
I mean,
when we
like
first
1
poured
sip
it.
nose until we shook it up.
Like riding too much time on a train in a Southeast Asian country.
You said
People
Indian.
haven't bathed in quite some time. But with a little bit of aeration and shake, the nose definitely improved. And the palate actually improved as well.
Yeah.
Again, it benefited from air. It's got some nice flavors. It's definitely got some tropical fruit. You've got a little brown sugar, a little vanilla, a little toffee. I think it's a nice whiskey. Like I said, it was very apparent when I first poured it in the glass that it was going to be,
There was funk. There was some major funk on that.
Yeah. But in the end, I think it shaped up very nicely. I gave it a solid 3 sips.
All right. Brent, what did you think?
Well, the interesting part to me about this is that they aged this one 405 days, so just over a year. And that's why I keep going back to, I would like to see this in a larger barrel over a longer period of time. You know,
They seem pretty married to that 10-gallon Aspen finish.
Yeah, they are married to it, and I think that might be that
Time for a divorce?
Yeah, it might be time for a divorce. It might be time for them to move on. When they're experimenting, they might want to experiment with a larger barrel.
So you're saying they should start swinging?
Swinging with a little bit bigger thing.
Well, I guess that makes our naughty parts tingle.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was actually going to get to play these 3 sound effects the entire show. I just thought they were funny. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, but this is okay. I mean, I'm not going to downplay it for what it is. It's a nice experimental, and that's what it is, an experimental. I don't think that they're going to go back to this unless they do something different to it in the future. And because of that, I'm going to give it 2 sips.
Well, I'm going to be contrary for a moment and tell you that I think something is amiss.
Nice?
We have said 10-gallon barrels, and you guys mentioned 405 days in a charred 10-gallon barrel. All the 10-gallon barrel bottlings had about 48 bottles. This is bottle number 153 of 198. I would argue that this is closer to a 50-gallon barrel with 198
you can argue
bottles.
all you want. I took this directly off their website. Just because it says number, I don't think that's a single barrel product. It's a batch.
A batch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Is that the batch
Bob burned?
Right.
Yeah.
So a batch of 198. Yeah.
Yeah. They probably put 4 barrels together.
Well, none of these are labeled as single barrel products, but they've clearly been small batches of 48 bottles, and most
If
of
it's
them.
if it's less than 48 bottles in 1 barrel, that's messed up.
Yeah,
that's what you get when you got tiny little barrels. It's an expensive way to make whiskey too.
Yeah,
I mean, you pay
10-gallon barrel. Is 50 bottles.
I think that's why they're doing it in the time frame that they're doing it, is trying to get their money back as quick as possible. You know.
Well, it's a way to get your product out. You know.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yes.
This also says on the label Barrel Select for the Stanley. I don't know who or where the Stanley is, but apparently this was a barrel that was selected for them.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. It's 10-gallon barrels. That's what they've got. So, all right. Move on to the next one. Brent, you're up for the next one.
Okay. Our next product is the 291E Colorado Whiskey, batch number 2. It's a 63.4 ABV, so 126.8 for those mathematicians out there. Proof. This is a one-off experimental release using their standard bourbon recipe of 80% corn, 19% malted, and 1% malted barley. Half the grain was cooked up with the temperature being increased during mashing. The other half was cooked down with descending temperatures during mashing. Aged for 333 days in new charred 10-gallon American white oak barrels, and finished with toasted aspen staves. So it's still with the toasted aspen staves, and I think that's what when I get the nose on these, I think that's what's really giving us the sweetness that those toasted aspen staves. I think those are what's really giving us our nose.
Yeah,
it's really affecting our nose.
Well, I
and
think
giving
they
us
tied
that
into
fruit.
that. I think they enjoy it. That's a flavor profile they like, and I think they're using that sort of as their style. Which,
yes,
everybody's got to have that hook. So
they
could certainly do worse.
Yeah, again, it's just aged under a year, and I think that.
Because I'll tell you, if you're getting that nose off of this by putting those aspen staves in, I'd say stick with it.
Oh gosh! Oh my gosh! For sure, the sweetness
is great.
The nose on this is, is so much potential with the nose, and you get the cherries, you get the fruit. It's just delicious, and then when you get the palate, you get the cherries, but it's a little bit muted. Everything's a little bit muted. Get a nice medium finish to it. I like it better than the experimental number 1, but I just think that as an experimental, it needs to do something different with it besides. But I'm gonna give it a solid 2 sips.
All right. What do you think, Maury?
Well, isn't that nice?
I'm going to echo what Brent said. I personally preferred experiment number 1, and actually, as we'll soon hear, experiment number 3 over number 2. This one just didn't really jump out at me. I love the nose.
I think experiment number 1 was disappointing at first. That air at the end, like Bob was saying, that really did it. Did you try it with number 2?
Sometimes you'll get that. That's the strangest thing. Is,
all of these things, all these expressions benefited from tremendous amount of air. And I would love to do a little comparison of these expressions with, say, Venturi before and after.
Yeah, the spirits Venturi.
Double Venturi, and then try to standardize that. Again, nicely made whiskey. Really can't say anything bad about it other than maybe needs a little more time, maybe a slightly larger barrel. I gave it a solid 2 sips.
Well, man, hold on. I'm drinking. I'm not ready.
Not ready. All you do is push a button, man. That's your one job. You got one job, Bob. You push the button.
11 jobs here.
He's one job, Bob.
One job, Bob. No, he's the.
What do you think, Justin?
He's the show producer.
I got a lot of burnt caramel on the nose, and you could definitely tell it's a very high rye whiskey. It was fiery. The finish was long, but it wasn't well balanced or refined. And
it wasn't high rye either.
Yeah, it was more like a corn whiskey. Yeah, with 80% corn.
It's the malted. It's the malting of the rye that's throwing you off.
You got a ton of fire
rye.
Yeah, it's malted, man. It's malted.
I gave it 2 sips.
All right. Arm?
Loquacious as ever.
Well, isn't that nice?
Sir, let me tell you something.
Tell us.
Let me tell you.
Tell us.
It's sweet. It's creamy. It's creme brulee with a slight bit of smoke. So, I mean, this was actually, I thought it was a big improvement over batch 1. I disagree with Maury on this one. And I feel better now because I usually disagree with Maury. I think.
There you go.
In my heart, I should disagree with Maury. But The last few shows, I've been agreeing with Maury. It's hurting me.
It's hurting you.
I mean, it's only 11 months in the barrel, and that's
Yeah.
You know, it's I don't know. I don't know that you can get all the flavor out of something. You know, but I guess a 10-gallon barrel, they just figured they get all the flavor. They got all the flavor out of it. That they
And
could.
also, this Aspen stave thing is really, like you said, Brent. It's again, I'm agreeing with you. Now, what's going on, man? I'm agreeing with you. At least I'm disagreeing with Maury. It's good, but but the Aspen stave, it's adding some of that fruitiness, I think, and there's like a green note to it. It's very interesting, and I want to like it more than I do. That's the problem. The palate doesn't follow through. All of these whiskeys, for me, I think the nose was so much better than
And the color is beautiful. It's just
gorgeous.
this deep mahogany color.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Sure. You like everything dark when it's whiskey. I know you.
right.
He likes a little chocolate delight. I'm just saying.
I guess he's the only one that hasn't breathed in your ear today.
What's your rating?
I give it 2 sips.
All right. Well, guess what? You get to review the last one.
Well,
right.
isn't that nice?
This one is a slight departure. Well, more than a slight departure. This is 100% malted rye for the mash bill, for one thing. This product is the 291E Colorado Whiskey Batch Number 3, 62.3% alcohol by volume, 100% malted rye, 291 days, and new tandem. I'm not going to say it again.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing. So, color, same, beautiful mahogany. Now, the nose on this was freaking beautiful. Brown sugar, pomegranate, flowers. I mean, this, I don't know what's like white flowers and a little tiny hint of citrus at the end there.
I'm getting a little coffee on the bottom note, like real like sweet coffee.
It's I mean, it's like really sugary coffee.
Really sugary.
Yeah, you get so much
like
sweetness off it. So much sweetness.
Like a Cuban coffee, yeah.
Citrus and flowers. It's gorgeous. The palate, though, was still green, and that greenness, I think, is coming from those Aspen staves. And when I put the water in, that's when I got some more stuff. I put a few drops of water in this one. More fruit came up. I got loads of citrus with the water. And the finish was pretty long. Now, as I'm talking about that, the water bottles will be passed around the table, baby. Nobody wants to try stuff like I talked about. But water.
Last time you wanted to try stuff, it involved
I still remember your breath.
oil and a toga.
I still remember your breath.
The horror. The horror.
The horror. Horror. Whatever. This whiskey was really, I think, was one of my favorites tonight. And I definitely give it 3 sips. Easy.
All right.
Bob,
who else?
You want to talk about it? Or you want to pass it off to somebody else because you're the producer.
Well,
Bob's Mr. Producer. He's got a button to press. He finally pressed the button. I said 3 sips like a minute ago. Yeah.
yeah, this one, of the experimentals, this one was definitely my favorite. And it, again, like all the rest of them, the nose on it was phenomenal. I think of the 3 experimentals, this definitely had the best nose.
One.
And it does benefit from a touch of water. I will give Mr. Happy his due.
Definitely.
It definitely
I salute
gives
you.
It definitely gives it a it takes down some of the tannin and definitely brings some more flavor out. I give it a solid 3. What do you guys think?
Interesting.
I think because this is a malted rye, this is a rye that I don't think that the barrel is affected as much as it does if it's a corn based or
or so it's unmalted rye is a different thing. Unmalted rye is much more flowery, much more peppery.
Right.
It's so perfumey though.
Yeah,
oh my
exactly.
God! It's like a bouquet of flowers in your mouth.
This is a market departure from all the other expressions with the rye.
I'm still going to give this one though. I like where they're going, but I'm just going to give this one a 2 sips.
All right, Maury.
Well, isn't that nice?
I gave it 3 sips. I love where it's going. I love the rye. I love the perfuminess. I love the nose. I thought with a little bit of water really opened up the palate nicely. And very well made. Love to revisit it again in a little more time. But one of my favorites of the day.
What's your number?
3 sips.
Justin, number?
3 sips.
Interesting.
All right. Well, I think we can all agree that they're
on the right track.
They're on the right track, especially on the nose. Man, just don't change that.
They've got something here with their mash bills that they're doing.
Well, that's all the time. That's all the time we have today.
Do we? I heard the music, man. I didn't care.
We hope
I just don't care anymore.
Shut up. We hope you enjoyed this episode. You catch all of our episodes online as well on SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, PRX, and Spreaker. our native media host. iTunes, Google Play, and our own Android app are the easiest ways to enjoy the show on your phone. Just search for Sip, Suds, and Smokes on iTunes or in the Google Play Store. Be sure to tap subscribe, and the show will always be on your phone. We love your feedback, and you can reach us online at info@sipsudsandsmokes.com. Our daily tasting notes flow out on Twitter every day at SipSudSmoke, and our Facebook page is always buzzing with lots of news. You'll be able to interact with all the thousands of other fans on these social media platforms. Do us a favor and take the time to rate this episode. If you're listening to us online, that's a big help to us, and you can see your feedback. I want to thank our co-host for joining us today. Thank you, Brent.
It's a pleasure. I'm going to have to use my snowshoes to get out of here.
Yeah. Thank you, Maury.
Thank you, Bob. I love what you did with the basement today.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you so much, Bob. Great day in the cave.
Thank you, Mr. Happy.
Oh, well, thank you, Bob. I really enjoyed drinking your whiskeys.
Put that phone down.
And us breathing in his ear.
That's my wife texting me, asking me where I am at 3 in the morning.
For Sip,
I have to
Suds,
tell
and
her I'm drinking
Smokes.
whiskey with you guys.
For Sip, Suds, and Smokes, this is Made Man Bob, and we thank you for joining us. And remember, life is too short to drink bad whiskey.
This has been a One Tan Hand production of Sip, Suds, and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the Good Old Boys, will see you all next time.